Hello, we are Team 8 from Lecture Group 2. We'll be presenting addressing potential power imbalance among stakeholders in decision-making process in One Health.
One Health is an integrated approach that connects humans, animals, and environmental health. It relies on collaboration between governments, scientists, NGOs, and local communities. However, because many stakeholders are involved, ethical challenges can arise, especially when participation and influence are not equally shared. Power dynamics refer to the unequal distribution of authority and decision-making power. In collaborative systems like One Health, some stakeholders have more influence and resources, while others have limited ability to participate, leading to imbalanced decision-making. In the One Health context, governments and international organizations usually lead decisions, while NGOs and experts influence the policies. Local communities, despite being directly affected, have often limited decision-making power, creating an imbalance in participation. These power imbalances lead to several ethical problems in One Health, including the dominance of powerful stakeholders, marginalization of local and indigenous communities, unequal access to benefits, and a lack of transparency and accountability. Powerful stakeholders, such as governments and funders, often control decision-making through top-down approaches. Community input is usually minimal, which can cause local needs and priorities to be overlooked. Local and indigenous communities are frequently excluded from the planning and policy discussion. Their cultural and traditional knowledge is often ignored, leading to mistrust, resistance, and ineffective One Health outcomes. Another ethical issue is unequal access to benefits and risks. While some stakeholders gain economic or health benefits, vulnerable groups often bear the environmental and social risks, raising concerns about justice and fairness. Lastly, decision-making processes in One Health are often not transparent. Communities may not understand who makes decisions and why, and there are limited channels for feedback, resulting in weak accountability.
Governments are responsible to implement risk reduction measures. They also plan and coordinate policies, regulations, and funding priorities. NGOs and international organizations influence decisions by advocating issues and provide professional support. Local communities promote participation in policy and activity implementation. However, they have the least decision-making power, along with the highest exposure to risk. To put things into perspective, imagine a scenario where a large-scale animal husbandry uses antimicrobials to prevent potential losses, where a small extensive animal husbandry with a less dense farming approach with less risk of disease transmission doesn't rely on antimicrobials. When disease starts spreading, the former typically has better access to detecting diseases and managing associated risks, in contrast to the latter with less access. This shows that when government and industry dominate in decision-making while farmers and local communities are excluded, One Health becomes ethically unbalanced.
Moving on to ethical implications in power imbalance, in One Health, decisions affect human, animal, and environmental health. Ethical problems arise when these decisions are dominated by powerful stakeholders, while communities who are most affected have little or no voice. Next, this power imbalance is ethically problematic because it violates justice and autonomy. Justice requires fair representation of all stakeholders, while autonomy means respecting communities' right to participate in decisions that affect their lives. However, top-down policies often exclude local communities from decision-making. Although policies aim to protect health, power imbalance can lead to harmful outcomes. When community perspectives are ignored, decisions may cause loss of livelihoods, compromise animal welfare, and damage the environment, which goes against ethical responsibilities to do good and avoid harm. Now, let's look into solutions to address the power imbalance.
First strategy, institutionalizing participatory governance. This is to ensure communities and other stakeholders are formally included in decision-making structures so that power is shared and decisions are not controlled by only governments or NGOs. Second, in simple words, government, NGO, and community decide together from the start. And the last is power is shared rather than concentrated. Authority is no longer dominated by governments or NGOs, reducing top-down control. Second strategy, multi-stakeholder collaboration with shared authority. Innovative approaches include co-leadership models between governments, NGOs, and community representatives, memoranda of understandings, MOUs, that specify decision-making authority, and third, community veto or approval rights given to the community for high-impact interventions. Last strategy, transparent and inclusive information sharing. Effective strategies include open data platforms and public reporting. Second, communication in local languages and culturally appropriate formats. Third, two-way communication and feedback mechanisms such as town hall, digital forums, or community liaison officer.
To address power imbalances effectively, we will use SDG as our roadmap for inclusive governance. First, SDG 16 will serve as the foundation. Under Target 16.7, we move beyond simple consultation towards true participatory decision making. The goal here is a shift in the status quo by ensuring that government, NGO, and local communities shape power fairly rather than following a top-down approach. It means that those impacted by the policy are the ones helping to write it. Next, SDG 17 will act as the bridge. It reminds us that no single entity holds all the answer. Through Target 17.16, we focus on multi-stakeholder partnership. This isn't just about working together, it's about equitable collaboration. We address power dynamic by ensuring that resources, knowledge, and authority are shared transparently among all partners. Finally, SDG 10 will provide the balance. Target 10.2 promotes political inclusion for everyone, regardless of their background. By empowering marginalized groups with the resources and legal standing they need, we transform them from passive recipients into active stakeholders with real bargaining power. More importantly, Target 10.6 will ensure that developing nations and local communities have a stronger voice in global institutions, effectively leveling the playing field. By integrating these three goals, we will transform the stakeholder from passive participants into active, empowered leaders of their own development. It will shape a future that is fairer, more inclusive, and truly sustainable.
To make One Health works, we must stop using a top-down approach and start sharing power with local people. Right now, big international groups have too much control, which cause the local community to lose trust and harm the environment. By working together as equals and sharing information openly, we meet global goals for fairness and justice. Simply put, the people who face the most risk should have a seat at the table when creating the solution.